And the mission of the Open Visual Communications Consortium, better known as the OVCC, is to develop and support a ubiquitous video marketplace that by establishing secure, quality-assured, and video-capable interconnections, and also to enable any-to-any video communication for end users across the world. In the TIA Now studio are two panelists to give us a better understanding of the OVCC Consortium. On the end of the desk is John Poole, Vice President and Senior Director of Business Development and the Global Cloud and Service Provider Solutions Group at Polycom. And also on the show is Carlos Da Silva, Director of Business Development at PCCW Global, which serves the voice and data needs of multinational enterprises and telecommunications service providers. And gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us, Abe.
Well, thanks for being here. We had a chance a few months back at the TIA 2012 event to talk to the folks over at the OVCC, and we appreciate you coming back and giving us an update about the OVCC. So let's start with that. Carlos, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us about the OVCC Alliance? To me, it seems like an innovative idea layered on top of innovative technology. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, it is that. It is a group of companies that all somehow act in the ecosystem of high-definition video communications. And these companies come together to foster the business of HDVC and to enable more and more users to take advantage of these HDVC communications. To do so, these companies do not try to create a new standard. They try to make use of existing standards, but they had the product and the business layer on top of it. So they try to, how do we use the existing standards? What are the operational procedures that we're going to develop to use them? And what are the information that we need to make this a business that's sustainable and that we can sell to our end users? So that's really what's different about OVCC and other alliances. We're really business focused and go-to-market focused, even though we work together to create something that's new.
The other thing I would add to that is there are several reasons why there is an OVCC that lends to why it's different. I guess the major stumbling blocks in the industry in the effort to try to make video the new voice, right? The effort of the OVCC is really to create video dial tone and create this ubiquity amongst people with video technology. Predominantly, people have been developing islands of video for a long, long time. Those islands didn't really have bridges to get anywhere outside the islands. If they could connect video across those islands, there's no guarantee that the video on the ends would actually work. And probably the most important thing was if you looked across the industry at what was being done to solve that problem. Prior to the OVCC, there really wasn't any industry initiative to solve those problems. So those are some of the key drivers for why there is an OVCC and why this problem wasn't being addressed by the traditional standards bodies. It, to Carlos's point, is more of a commercial effort to take the standards we have and find a way to commercialize a ubiquitous service that would work in a consistent way and provide a consistent experience, whether or not you're subscribing from an American carrier, an Australian carrier, or someone somewhere else in the world.
Carlos, I did notice you already have an impressive group of membership at the OVCC currently. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of those key members?
Well, there are three types of members, and they all represent what you exactly need to create this service and bring it to market. So obviously you need vendors because that's where the technology comes from. You have the vendors that take this technology, make the boxes, and then you need the managed service providers going to take this box, going to take this technology, make it a product and a service that they can bring to the customers. And ultimately, you have the network service providers. You need somebody that creates the network infrastructure that connects worldwide all these managed service providers. So ultimately, you have customers in the US that can have video calls with customers in Africa, Europe, everywhere else. So we really have three types of key members: the vendors, the managed service providers, and the network service providers.
Now, Carlos, clearly there's many benefits of being a member of the OVCC, but are there any benefits at the onset of being a member, or are they a little bit further down the road? And what are some of those benefits?
Well, the benefits, and if you look at who the benefits are for, if you look at the members have been in the past trying to negotiate bilateral interconnections between themselves, and you go from a one-on-one discussion about technical implementation, interoperability, testing, agreements, operational aspects. What the OVCC brings is to move from this one-to-one relationship to a one-to-many, which not only is it's much more efficient, but because you solve a lot of problems, you have a lot of opinions at once, it's also much faster for the members themselves. And the members have been benefiting from this for the past 12 months, and they're all very active in discussing and trying to solve common solutions, solve common problems that they have. Then you also have the benefits for the users themselves, and those benefits will get realized once we bring the product to market, once they, as John was saying earlier, once they can dial any other party they want to have a video call without figuring out, is it part of my company, is it another company that my service provider interconnects with, etc. We should make that simple and almost obvious for these parties.
Yeah, so go ahead.
I was just going to say that the benefits, as Carlos said, the people who have joined the OVCC are realizing those benefits already, saving them a lot of time to get video into their portfolio and ubiquitously connected to everyone else much more quickly. As a result, as it relates to the consumers of the service, the customers, a lot of people have an understanding that the OVCC has this ambitious goal, and it could be 3, 4, 5 years before the end customer begins to see the value. And what we've been working towards is a commercial service, a compliant service coming from this group before the end of this year. So that's part of the challenge. Is a lot of people have in their mind that these challenges are so insurmountable that this must surely be going to take 3, 4, 5 years before it can be realized. And because of how this group has been operating, we're on the threshold right now of being able to bring to market basically the fruit of the labor of the group, where ubiquitous video will be available from anywhere from 7 to 9 service providers we anticipate before the end of the year.
Now let's talk a little bit more, John, about the future of the OVCC. Take us down the road a bit more, or a bit further down the road, 3 years out. Where do you see the future of OVCC?
So, great question. I guess the best place to understand the future is to take a look back at what did we try to accomplish. I think we may have a graphic here that we can put up. We actually began with a vision of enabling any-to-any communication with not a lot of detail in mind, just the basic capabilities. And as I said a few moments ago, we are on the threshold of realizing that vision. So we've recently begun to put a new strategy together for the group, and we're looking out 3, 4, 5 years from now to say, really, when does the work of the OVCC become complete, really? What is the ultimate goal and look and feel of that experience? And then we're working our way backwards in terms of building a roadmap that the group can coalesce around and actually establish a set of milestones that actually get us to where we want to go. But as you can imagine, we're predominantly focused, SIP as a signaling protocol and MPLS as an interconnect backbone. But as you look at the graphic and you start to understand the trends in the industry and how they're going to relate to video communication, it's everything from IMS and LTE and SVC as a video technology and software MCUs. All of these are going to play a critical role in shaping the future of what video communication looks like. It's a matter of the timing and the complexity in which you can get agreement across the industry and how they all adopt certain basic capabilities of all those things going into the future. So what I think you'll see is an ongoing roadmap of innovation, or at least innovation at the service delivery level. Over the next 3 to 5 years, that will take into account things like mobility and IMS and 4G and LTE, as well as unified communication clients and software clients, and pretty much the gamut of what we expect the market to evolve in. We're building a roadmap that funnels this in over time so that we'll ultimately reach a point where not only have we accomplished our initial goals, but we've basically set the direction with everything that wraps around video, the unified communication experience and everything else that goes with it.
Now, Carlos, of course, there's a number of alliances and consortiums in the tech industry. How does the OVCC consortium directly and indirectly affect the industry as a whole? Well, and I'm referring to the telco industry, by the way.
Right. Well, we believe that with the work with UVCC, we're going to make this capability, the reach of high-definition video, ubiquitous. And that's going to speed up the adoption and the use of our customers. As they do that, let's think that an HD video call is at least 20 times more bandwidth requirements than a voice call. And so there's going to be a huge impact on bandwidth demand, and that bandwidth demand is going to impact the whole food chain. So we're talking about the network service providers and the bandwidth that's required. We're talking about co-location for new equipment that's not going to be installed. We're going to also be talking about new hardware for the video endpoints, the MCUs, and so on and so forth. So the entire food chain and the TIA members are going to be in some shape or form impacted by the growth of HD video communications.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree with that. I think that's a very important thing. I would like the members who are watching this panel to not necessarily see this as a niche initiative going on in the industry, because of of how broadly we're addressing this. It will have a network effect. The initial goals of the OVCC were really to raise the tide for all boats, whether you're a manufacturer of video equipment or session border controllers or providing bandwidth. I think the entire telecommunications ecosystem stands to benefit by supporting and helping to promote what we're doing with the OVCC, to all the points you made, Carlos, around the residual effects that everybody's business will actually enjoy as a result of the consumption of large-scale video adoption.
So I would imagine, John, that you would encourage this initiative to be socialized with our membership here and their customers. Would that be?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things, and I'll explain a little bit why that's important, is that the OVCC as a consortium is a nonprofit. We don't manufacture anything. We don't sell anything. It's really up to the individual members themselves to offer the service. And what we're trying to do through the OVCC is, in a way, almost create a good housekeeping seal of approval. It's something that assures that consumer a guarantee of an experience. Well, as I said earlier in the show, a lot of people are accustomed to seeing these things take years and years and years to realize. So the reality is that, as I said a few moments ago, we're going to start to see the first compliance services here in just a few months. And with that, again, the membership, as diverse as it is, all stands to benefit from it. So helping to evangelize what's going on in the video space will definitely, in our opinion anyway, have residual benefits to all the TIA members, regardless of whether they're a manufacturer or a service provider. The benefits are not limited solely to the people who are members of the OVCC. That's the key point, is that the OVCC is a driver within the industry that is going to help realize a lot of additional pull-through benefit to the members, whether they're manufacturers or they're service providers. So those are key reasons why understanding what the OVCC is, and understanding what benefits it would have within the member's own business, we would love to help support getting the word out to the consumer base on what this is about, so that the telecommunications industry as a whole sees the benefit of OVCC and not simply the members and our consumers.
Speaking of that, John, are there any other consortiums, alliances, or groups that you're working with, or is this a kind of a grassroots operation here?
It's a great question. I mentioned earlier in the show that OVCC was put together because there really wasn't a single group that was looking at solving the problems of delivering video as a service across these service providers. So what we tried to do, and what you'll find about the OVCC, is that it's service provider led. The people who are providing the services are actually leading the agenda. Well, there's a lot to be worked. And what we've done is we've recently put together a liaison committee within the OVCC. And that group is tasked with going out to people like the UCIF and HDVC, which is a group over in Europe, and GSMA and IMTC, just to name a few of them, to look at where is the synergy with what the OVCC is doing with these other groups. What are they working towards, and what work are they doing that could provide benefits to the OVCC, and how could the OVCC provide a means of commercializing and provide more broader adoption of the work that these groups are doing. So what we're finding is that in a way to help accelerate what we're doing in the OVCC, embracing through a liaison arrangement with these standards bodies is going a long way in accelerating our 3, 4, 5 year agenda, because a lot of the work now is being collaborated on by these other groups. Carlos, I'm not sure if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, exactly. I will add, though, that that, as you said, we really try to work with other groups to complement what we do. Nobody can solve everything on their own. So, for instance, with the GSMA and the i3 Forum, which is a group of carriers, what we're trying to do is to expand the reach. While the OVCC will start mainly from an enterprise to an enterprise communication, wherever the enterprises are, whatever equipment and provider they have, it's still an enterprise to an enterprise call. The next step is to go beyond that and look at the GSMA, look at the i3 Forum carriers, and work with them and see how can we bring in, how can interrupt and interconnect with end users that are either Wi-Fi users or fiber users or LTE users, etc. And how can these users also engage in a video communication with an enterprise hosted MCU, for instance. So we really try to complement and look at existing and other forums and see how we can all work for the benefit of the whole industry.
John, best way for a TIA member to be part of the OVCC, can you tell us more about that?
Sure, I think one of the first places that any interested company would go is the OVCC.net website. There's a host of information there that will provide not only the goals and the objectives of the group, it'll provide pretty much an overview of who's involved and basically where the group is going and the membership details. There's really, again, a multitude of ways that TIA members can realize benefits from it. Being a member allows them to get directly involved with the further discussions, right? This group has not solved all the world's telecommunication issues with video in a single year. As a matter of fact, it's an ongoing issue, and having the diversity of different people within the ecosystem joining is very beneficial to both those companies as well as the OVCC. So that's probably the first step, and then from there, typically, we could help consult with those companies to help them understand the best way to realize a return on their investment in the OVCC and how they can turn that into revenue growth and market share positioning for themselves within their respective market.
And Carlos, how would an enterprise customer be part of the service that you're creating over at the OVCC?
Well, the first thing, as John mentioned earlier, the OVCC itself doesn't sell a service. It enables MSPs and NSPs to work together and enable creating these services, but the OVCC doesn't sell it directly. So an enterprise that wants to benefit from this service will have to go to his managed service provider and ask, are you part of the OVCC? Do you enable me to reach all these other providers and all these other end customers? And if the answer is yes, then they get access to it. If the answer is no, then it's a suggestion to the MSP to come on board and join the OVCC.
Now, John, you mentioned the OVCC.net as a resource. Is there anywhere else we can get more information about that consortium?
I think the other answer is when you go to the OVCC.net, you see the list of members. You'll see the press releases saying which ones are offering services. Aside from the basic OVCC understanding, you really need to go to your service provider or the ones that are listed as participating and really get a better handle on exactly the timing of their service, the technology they use to offer their service, additional services that they bring to enhance their OVCC compliant service. I've spoken to a number of enterprises, and they've begun actually to create RFP questions that really go about making OVCC membership a criteria as a buying selection. And those are some of the questions they typically ask to further vet out really what makes one service provider's OVCC compliant service a better fit for their needs than another. And the best way to do that is to canvass those who are offering the service and ask those difficult questions relative to pricing and timing and availability and other services that they plan to wrap around OVCC compliant capabilities.
Well, of course, there's really innovative technology out there in the unified communications sector. It's great that the OVCC is mobilizing and pulling these resources together. Like I said before, we spoke with some of the folks over at that consortium a few months back at TI 2012, and we appreciate both of you coming back into our studio here in Arlington to give us more information.
Thank you.
So thank you, Carlos and John. Thanks for being here.
Great. Thanks so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. And as always, we value all of our TIA members. And if you would like more information about the OVCC, please go to ovcc.net. And for this segment on demand, please log on to tianow.org. Thanks for watching. So long.